would never. I live stream 4 times a week on YouTube and on Twitch, my other YouTube channels. Make sure you check those links out down below. Also, I have a Patreon that has more content on there that I don't post here. Is the point that she's like really outgoing and charismatic, and George is not? Oh. Today I'm going to be watching a video called How Did the World Get So Ugly by Sheehan Quirke.
I'm by the River Thames in London. Now, it's a charming place where tourists love to come. But why do they love coming here? Well, you've got views of iconic buildings like the Houses of Parliament and St. Paul's Cathedral, but that's not all. Have a look at this. It's a typical modern lamppost. Do you like it? Well, it does its job.
It doesn't, that's exactly what I thought of.
But not much else.
Already really good points being made, subtly, which is a lot of people visit a lot of places, not only because they're historically referenced landmarks, but also because they are made really beautifully compared to a lot of average cities that a lot of people probably come from, or even towns. Again, I'm going to reference America the most because that's where I live. So whenever I speak about things in the world, a lot of my reference points might come to America. But I do know that there's plenty of beautiful places in Europe, and then also plenty of places that are just kind of smaller, like quaint. I don't know what the right word would be. This is mostly just on the world being beautiful and how did it get so ugly. Very low effort architecture and buildings into things. We're not really building anything to be pretty anymore. Maybe just to do its job.
But look over here at another lamppost.
Oh yes, it's a lamppost.
And a little bit more. It's details like these that help make this such a charming place to be. But these two lampposts don't just look different. They represent fundamentally different worldviews. If you want to understand any society, don't listen to what it says about itself. Look at what it creates.
I'm gonna pause again just to talk about the hostile architecture. It's interesting because sometimes it's added to maybe discourage people who are homeless to lie on the outside of a building or to be comfortable on a bench because it has certain handles that go in the middle now to where you only have room to sit. Just kind of discourages people from using the property or the structure in a way that the city or the place didn't want them to use it in. But sometimes having that hostile architecture can actually also uglify it. I mean, you just have these random spikes or like weird shaped orbs on things, and that's not really decoration. That's not really nicely designed into the building that goes into a curve to like a pole, or what is it called? One of those, not vaulted ceilings, like a vaulted thing. It doesn't go with the architecture. It's clearly just there to like keep something away.
London's little lanes are charming now, but 150 years ago in places like this, you'd have had whole families crammed into these tiny rooms without running water. There would have been open cesspits spilling down the streets, and the stench of sewage boiling in the midday sun would have been unbearable. The whole city stank. It wasn't only horrible to live in, but genuinely dangerous. See, at that point, London had a problem. It was the world's biggest city. Its population was growing every year, along with the construction of new factories and mills and dockyards.
World's biggest city.
All those people and all that industry produced a lot of waste. It had to go somewhere. Where did it go? Into the Thames.
That's disgusting, but a very good point. I mean, the more people who want to live in a city or in an area, it's going to actually make that area really hard to kind of navigate. Indoor plumbing, probably the first step of we need to do something about this. And if you're trying to work really fast and you have to rip up the structures of everything, like, oh, the ground, so it's also kind of discreet and not just flowing through the city, then yeah, maybe rapidly trying to fix the problem and also trying to get it fixed quickly because people are trying to go to work and live in this area, you kind of just come up with very quick, minimalist looking streets and structures. Like, okay, cool, it's hidden. And it's like, well, now it's just like concrete walls or stone.
Thing had to be done. And it was an engineer called Joseph Bazalgette who stepped in to construct London's new sewer network in the 19th century. Sewers which still carry London's waste today, rushing beneath me at this very moment. And he also constructed this embankment that I'm standing on to replace what was essentially a stinking swamp filled with rubbish and human waste and eels.
And eels.
It's impossible to calculate how many lives he saved, how many millions of lives he improved. And he's commemorated here at a memorial that no one ever stops to look at.
Oh, that's actually kind of like, yeah, that's actually kind of sad. I would imagine maybe his memorial could be up there where it kind of seems there's a park and by all the really pretty lampposts. Still close enough to the water to acknowledge that this is where it happened. But definitely like not surrounded by the underbridge and just concrete walls. Kind of ugly. Not a big deal, but probably could have been put in a nicer area.
When Bazalgette's embankment was completed in 1870, it needed lighting, of course. And so a public competition was held to design the lamps that would line this new promenade.
That's so cool.
This was the winning design featuring these peculiar creatures. It's a little much, perhaps, but what's clear is that the Victorians took great pride in their embankment and thought it needed appropriately grand and dramatic decoration. See, these lamps were among the first public electric lighting in the world. This was a radical, revolutionary new technology. Crowds literally gathered to watch them be lit up for the first time. What the iPhone was in 2007, these lamps were in 1870. But looking at it now, you wouldn't know that.
Also a good analogy because, you know, iPhones are coming out and essentially the same. Who cares? What was the improvement? And, like, why? Like, now it's just another phone. So it does kind of go with what he said, which is at first it was extraordinary, but now light posts are just, we lit the street. And to be fair, it was one of the first lights apparently in the world and one of the biggest cities in the world. So of course it's going to be way more extraordinary and exciting. But if people have the ability to design and be creative, which they do, and they put that in a lot of other avenues that are sometimes overlooked, overshadowed, or don't really contribute anything, what a perfect way to add creativity and something that people would love to look at to something that is a necessity and people would have to look at every day. Why wouldn't you also just make that pretty? It's not like the world has a limited amount of people who are creative and would want to design that. That one's even nice, but you can see the downgrade.
Don't look modern to us now. They look quaint and old-fashioned. Why? Because they are decorated. And we don't associate decoration with cutting-edge technology. And that's a major difference between us and the Victorians in the 19th century. They saw no contradiction between startling modernity and time-honored tradition. Just like this building, the legendary Houses of Parliament. It was brand new once, but even then, it had been designed in an old and medieval style of architecture. Every technology becomes obsolete and outdated. But a good aesthetic, even if fashions change, can never become obsolete. It is definitionally timeless.
I like his point with this was designed with a medieval fashion in mind, or tone, whatever was the exact word, medieval style in mind, even though it was a building that for its time was very modern and it's referencing somehow or having inspiration somehow from something that at that time was old, but they still did it because it was beautiful architecture.
Those lamps on the embankment did their job. And even though more efficient and better methods of lighting have been invented, they remain 150 years later. That's the power of good design. And it applies to lampposts no less than to national parliaments. And so here, in the Houses of Parliament, everything we've been talking about comes together at last.
Even the inside, so like detailed.
Except that this is not the Houses of Parliament. It's an old sewage facility, a pumping station built in the 19th century as part of Bazalgette's new sewer system.
We would never. Mind is going so fast, like with different points. Again, I could see people pointing out, what, you want every bathroom to look like that? Like, it's just unrealistic expectations. There's so many more people in the world now that things have to be ugly because we have to be more efficient in building them to make everyone comfortable. This is just one facility, one of the first facilities for a huge amount of people. So yeah, maybe they put a little bit more effort into it, but you know, there's a middle ground. You could make certain things, especially buildings that are important, have a bit more detail. And there's not a single thing other than maybe the pillars that are kind of slick, which they're holding and touching a bunch of things that have details in them, that looks like it was overlooked. It has a design, it has hollow points with like things carved out, flowers, little vines, all sorts of designs, maybe even like dragons or fish again. It's just so pretty to look at.
There was also a sense of pride, a belief that what they'd done here was worthwhile, that it meant something. And the result, over a century later, is that this place, a sewage facility, is now a museum, a tourist destination. If you want to know what any society really believes in, just look at how they design their sewers. Just a few steps from the old 19th century Victorian pumping station, which has now been decommissioned, is the one built to replace it. It's not bad, I suppose. But it was very clearly not built by the same society, or at least not by a society with the same views about architecture and design. Will this, like the original, be turned into a museum? Maybe. In any case, I imagine that it is more functional and that it was more convenient to build and to design. Convenient. Now that's an important word.
He found the word that I was trying to use earlier, which is like, oh, maybe it's more efficient, like it's easier to just get it done quicker. No, the word is convenient. So sad. What an eyesore. Who would want to live next to that? And you might argue, well, no one would want to live next to a sewage thingy anyways, but I don't think that people would have minded as much the other, because it's at least a beautiful building. As long as the smell is contained, it's nice to walk by. It's pretty. Especially if you lived next to it, it would be like, oh, well, it's convenient. And like he even said, I like that the importance was put on, it doesn't really matter what you did for work. I think that the people who worked with sewage had every right to work in a beautiful place, just like someone else who might have worked in a library that's more grand. So they made the place the same amount of effort that they would have put into a library for people who worked there. They would never do that now.
Look at this air conditioning unit. I think it says more about the modern world than anything else, more than phones or social media. It's a miraculous technology, one that has changed the world and improved billions of lives. Hence, we stick them literally everywhere. But it's ugly. Ugly because it doesn't seem to express any belief in the idea that ordinary things can also be beautiful. But worse than ugly, it's boring. Now, it would certainly be a bit more expensive to make it prettier, take a little time and care and attention. But these days, it seems that we would rather make more money than make things look pretty. And maybe that's okay.
I like this video so much. I always think these things. Of course, a lot of people probably think these things, so I hope that doesn't sound annoying to say it, but the very specific example on air conditioning units was also a thing. Sometimes just looking out the window and looking at the trees, and then you look down and you just see like 4 units that are all powered for the inside of the building. It's like, oh, what an eyesore. That's ugly. Oh, well, at least the window's like looking this way at the trees. But then I've had a thought like, oh, but someone's window is right there. So what they see out their window are literally just these giant air conditioning units. Again, people are like dying and don't have homes, so there are bigger things to worry about. But I remember having the thought, oh, that would be kind of unfortunate if you were looking at the apartment and you did think it was really nice, but you happened to forget to like open the window and you didn't see that your view actually wasn't the trees that you knew were back there, but was actually first the air conditioning units.
Walking around a city,
That's interesting.
any city, and looking at its buildings and its infrastructure, you're not just looking at objects. You're looking at religions and principles, beliefs and ideas. These buildings, they don't just look different. They represent fundamentally different worldviews, clashing ideas about how we should all think, live, and behave.
Grass on the building.
And those skyscrapers say the same thing as our air conditioning units and sewage plants, that we have become a society of convenience above all else. But there's something else that we haven't mentioned about these lampposts. It would be easy to believe that they were made by artists and that we somehow wouldn't be able to or couldn't afford to make them anymore. But just like our modern lampposts, our air conditioning units, our everything, these were also mass-produced, made in a factory. We could still mass-produce lamps just like these if we wanted to. We can make our offices and our warehouses look like Crossnest pumping station. We could make anything we want. That's the ultimate truth, the hardest one to accept. But we don't. We have other priorities. And that's fine. But it's vital we accept that there is another way.
If we have even more now and more capabilities to mass produce things, we could just mass produce things that are nicer looking. And of course it would cost more money and take a little bit longer and also would have to be designed. You know, people's priorities have just changed a lot more towards, well, this is how people make money now, which is like entertainment and selling products. So now you want screens everywhere and things to be in season.
Modern design tells the truth very loudly, that we are technologically superior and very efficient, but also a little bit boring and unimaginative. And it says that we no longer believe in the idea of ordinary beauty or in the idea of a public that deserves ordinary beauty. Museums and galleries are wonderful places where we can come and look at things that people used to make and admire their handiwork. They're not just dead historical artifacts. These are living echoes of different ideas about what the world is and what the world could be. This isn't about past versus present. It's about learning from the past in order to improve the present. And what the Victorians can teach us is that even ordinary, useful things can also be beautiful.
What a great video. I feel bad for not pronouncing his name right. He might have even said it in the video and I'm still being rude where I'm like, wait, what was it again? Sheehan Quirke. It will be linked down below. Really good video. Sure, a lot of people have noticed and have talked about it before. Sometimes it even happens to homes. They're not that old. They'll be bought and they're old enough. They were built at some point in the 1900s, some point, even 1990s, I don't know. But they have those spiral staircases, and a lot of things were made out of wood. And maybe they have certain backsplash tiles that are all colorful in the kitchen. And then a lot of those homes will be ripped up from the roots and walls torn down, the trim taken out to just have a bit more plain and white and grayify everything, because those backsplash tiles don't look good with these decorations and it's just too tacky. So now everything's grayed. And I think some people have made a joke about how it's like the millennial touch, because they were some of the first ones to go into like a home and try to renovate it and make it look like modern. And it started kind of having an effect of, you actually didn't upgrade this one. This one you kind of just took away any of the character that this home had, like the spiral staircase that was made of wood, or like some really decorative shaped metal, whatever, and then just making it very like plain, to the point kind of thing. So yeah, you can see it in a lot of places. Definitely check out the channel. I think it's a good video. Probably has other good videos. And sorry this one's a bit longer. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you haven't, I have live streaming linked down below and my Patreon, and I'll see you all next time.